Welcome, Ultimate fans, to the Beach of Dreams, presented by Ultiworld and USA Ultimate, a showcase of stars from Santa Monica in California. Keith Rayner here, joined by Naomi Redmond for a women's division matchup, our first and only such matchup here at the Beach of Dreams.
Hey Keith, I'm excited to be here, excited to see what these women have on show. We've seen them play in a mixed game so far, and really interesting to see how they change things up, how they readjust in the sand, and how they calibrate to only playing women's.
And we see the lineup for Team Grit, an exciting group. They'll be taking on Team Grace. Get a chance to check out their lineup as well as we see them coming out. What's it like getting fired up for the big game once you're coming out in those lineups and standing out there and looking at each other from across the sand?
I mean, I think it's different in every playing situation. I think for these women, it's an exciting opportunity to play against some of the best in the game, and against a lot of friends too. Like we spoke on our mixed game. Like lots of them have played together or played against each other at the highest levels in US Ultimate. So I think there's a level of camaraderie in this game that's a little bit different than maybe a typical Ultimate game that we might see here.
You see some of the other Live Ultimate ambassadors who are participating in the men's game looking on. Got a nice little crowd that has gathered to enjoy the showcase game. The youth tournament also going on, and that's provided a lot of the fans. The first pull goes up from Sadie Jezierski. Grace in white, Grit in dark. And getting our first offensive possession underway with a deep throw from Kayla Heldon. Jessie Schaffner in chase, but runs out of room at the back of the end zone.
A lot of a little bit of juking in the front there, giving Jessie Schaffner some time to get open, but a nice cut. They just need to rein it in a little bit.
Angela Zhu onto the break side for Stacy Gaskill. Mistimes the deep throw, so some quick deep turnovers for both sides, and I don't think necessarily that we should expect this to be a possession-based game, especially with these small sides and small field. You're going to see teams take risks. Thompson on the break side for Heldon. Heldon back to Anna Thompson. And the AMP star looks for her former AMP teammate, Carolyn Normile, but she slips in the sand. Don't know if she would have gotten to that one either way. But
yeah, that's tough, Keith. Sometimes in the sand, you don't have the same grip that you would have with your cleats. It's easy to get stuck a little bit. But it was a nice throw and a good look from Thompson.
Speaking of nice throws, a beautiful throw from Zhu towards Raha Mazafari, but her layout attempt comes up just short. So possession changing quickly between both Grit and Grace.
That was a huge bid, and honestly a long way to run, and pretty impressive to still have the gas to lay out like that after striking through the sand.
Helton again initiating for the Grit offense. Really high release there from Normile, and Zhu makes her pay, batting that down. And this is the best scoring opportunity we've seen early on in this game. Excellent positioning there from Zhu. She holds off the defense for the opening goal for Grace.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, just a bit of an unfortunate sort of attempt at a reset. Really high, lots of time for the defense to get there, but great positioning from Angela Zhu, and just a nice throw, taking advantage of the easiest options for her in the end zone.
And love to see her just cut right in front of the defense, make sure Helton can't even get off her feet to try and make a play on it. As Grace breaks to start this one.
Yeah, Yeah, that was a
Manu
nice
Cardenas.
seal out.
Really just a heads-up play from a really intelligent, fundamentally sound player. Tulsa Douglas gets it over to Anna Thompson. Here's the first touch for Carolyn Finney. And Finney into the back corner, lays out for that. I don't know if she really thought that was going to come up from Thompson, but Thompson is a fearless thrower targeting that back corner.
Yeah, I think a little bit of a surprise. Sometimes it gets, you know, when the disc goes over your shoulder like that, you can't see it in the sunlight. But good second effort by Finney.
Dina Elamelik down the middle to Ni Win. When her club teammate Cardenas, there's a turnover there, not able to get it back to Cardenas. Cardenas and Win make up 2 of the 4 Denver Molly Brown players in this game. Ashley Brook, open side, and a quick continue from Finney to Douglas in the end zone. Ties this back up at 1-1.
Yeah, Ashley Book really showing her stripes in these games. I think she's shown how much of a physically dominant player she is. We've seen her getting some pretty big blocks and some nice grabs in there. She's been really involved in the midfield. So excited to see her out there.
I lost it.
God, I don't think that Book's resume, her accolades are quite at the caliber of some of her teammates, but she's certainly shown that she can compete with this level of player. Displayed great athleticism. Played with Kansas City Wicked and is a vocal trans rights advocate, both in Ultimate as well as in the Air Force. Grace back with the disc and another slip, this time from Gaskill, trying to go deep on what would have been a contested play against Book.
Pretty risky shot taken there by Cardenas. That same lane huck, it's always tough to track those down, but I mean, we saw in the mixed game, Stacey Gaskill, great receiver, and she will come down with those a lot of the time.
And the deep throws keep coming. This one into the hands of Jessie Schaffner, and then she takes off for the hole and disappears into what I must assume is the center of the earth. Goodbye, Jessie. No, she's back. She's back.
Needs a little help to get out, step ladder.
Doesn't need any help finding the end zone, though. She's got acres of room. Big landing space for Normile to drop in the forehand huck.
And just an
back on serve
dime
now.
Of a throw.
Absolutely. I mean, Normile is a decorated thrower.
Tulsa Douglas on the pole for Team Grit.
Douglas, high pull, but a bit short. It's going to be good field position for Grace. Gaskill back with the disc. Elamelik looking for Gaskill with the throw to space, but a little too far out in front. Again, great pressure from Book.
Yeah, that's a great matchup between the two of them. Two really physically dominant players with some height, and definitely I think we'll be seeing that for the rest of the game.
Finney able to get off a back shoulder backhand, looking for Book. And again, you see the size and athleticism on display, but she just can't quite pull that one in.
Great bid by Book. Unfortunately, unable to come down with it. That's a Grit turnover.
Just off of the fingertips.
Picked up for Grace.
Yeah, she'll be missing that one. That was really, really close and a great attempt.
It's like sand slipping between the fingers there. As this possession slips away from Grace and back into the hands of Grit with Carolyn Finney, a former Player of the Year in the women's division. Almost a picturesque layout block from Elimelech. Instead, it's Grit into the end zone. So you can see the margins can be pretty close out here as Book gets a hard-earned goal to make it 3-1. Grit gave up the first break, and now they're up 3.
Yeah, it feels like a blink of an eye that's all gone through, but I think that we're seeing a lot of unsuccessful hucking here, and then turning around when the D gets a block and kind of playing tic-tac-toe up the field. It's been really successful.
Jesse Schaffner on the pull.
Schaffner with the pull.
Angela Zhu over to pick up.
Zhu initiates play as that throw is beyond the reach of a bidding Cardenas.
I won't repeat what she said after that throw.
Thompson flips the disc over to the break side for Schaffner. Gets it back, and Thompson and Helton, I think, have really been getting a ton of touches to start this game with Grit. High release forehand from Schaffner gets to Normile for the score, and 4 straight for Grit. Schaffner went in the hole, but now it's Grace who's in a bit of a hole of her own.
Yeah, just Grace really off to the races here. I think their possession is just a little bit stronger than Grit. They're able to hang on to things, and not making that first pass turnover makes such a big difference here. It's hard to regain the yards that you lose on beach. It's a little bit unforgiving.
We'll see if Grace can find a way to right the ship. Grit's been in control after that first point. Getting to the break side and generating turnovers. Schaffner with the pull. Sadie Jezierski cross field for win. Now Mazafari just outside the end zone, but nowhere really to go. And forced to throw it backwards for a painful turnover.
Yeah, really, really good pressure defense from Grace on that possession.
And no such pressure the other way as Grit easily finds the end zone on a quick strike from Finney. The fading forehand for Douglas to push the lead out to 5-1.
And I think something that we should call out here as well is the roster size is quite different from when these women are playing mixed. Like they're on a lot, and playing on beach is really tiring. So I think we're maybe seeing a little bit more fatigue from Grit than Grace, like from having to go back and forth a little bit more. So I think we may be seeing a little bit of fatigue here, which is impacting these players.
Finney with 3 assists and a goal. So all over the stat sheet for the star from San Francisco Fury. She's on the mark now against Gaskill, who's looking deep for Cardenas. It looks like we may have a jump ball, but Cardenas has to invest most of her energy in sprinting after it. Can't quite direct as much vertically. And again, another quick strike for Grit. They are scoring with reckless abandon right now as they hit Finney for another score.
Just a absolute pinpoint throw. No chance that the D could catch up to that.
In the next decade for Ultimate, I assume we're going to continue to see exponential growth in the amount of participation think in the last decade, people were still asking us if we played with dogs, and most of the time now, people actually know that it's a team sport. Occasionally, people think it's disc golf, but at least people know what disc golf is now also.
As we hear from Finney and get a chance to see the stat line, projecting continued growth. Do you feel like, in your experience, that Ultimate feels like it's more recognizable to people in your life, Naomi?
Oh, definitely. If you had asked me, 5 years ago, if people typically knew what I did with my free time, I would say no. Things were a lot different then 5 years ago, I'm sure 10 years ago as well. But I think things are moving in a really cool direction, especially in the U.S. I mean, Canada, there's still a little bit less visibility, I would say, but, we always see clips hitting Sportsnet and ESPN, and it's so exciting, and it's so exciting to see that visibility growing, especially in women's ultimate and in juniors as well.
Douglas with the pull for Grit. Grace in need of a score, having given up 6 consecutive goals. And a bobbled catch recovered. They all count the same once they're complete. Now getting some quick disc movement out of Grace. They haven't quite gotten these types of possessions yet. Ella Melick gets it over to Zoo. And Cardenas streaks across the mouth of the end zone for the goal. Grace back on the board. It's 6-2 Grit.
Yeah, I think whatever discussions were had in the huddle during halftime were beneficial here. I think Grit is looking a lot cleaner, like those quick movements and aside from the bobble, like great focus, or bobble included, I guess, great focus, and I hope to see the rest of that in the rest of the game as well.
Certainly wouldn't say it was an effortless score, but an effective one, able to advance without some of the turnovers that have bogged them down, and maybe we'll see them try and attack more with the small ball, move the disc quickly side of the coin rather than stretching the field with the deep game. But given the way that they have been getting scored on in transition, maybe the best defense is a good offense right now.
Yeah, I think they're definitely struggling to keep up with the dark team once the turnover has happened.
Yes, we have picks and beats ultimate too.
Is that going up, Kayla?
So a pick on the field, but looks like Helton's going to be free of a mark. Some help defense helping get her that position, but not really anything to do with it. So swing to Schaffner, but plenty to be gained. And then a tricky throw there from Finney. A little fake one way, and then just deposits the high release backhand over the mark to make it 7-2. Grit leads, and Finney continues a dominant first half and closes out this half with that assist.
Team Grit 7.
Yeah, we did mention Finney's impressive stat line so far, and she's just showing how well-rounded of a player that she is there. From, she's striking, she's behind the disc, she's making plays on D. It's really impressive.
Well, she's earned a little water with her effort in the first half, so the players will take a chance to get hydrated, take a little break. Why don't you do the same? We'll be back for the second half of the Beach of Dreams Women's Showcase in just a bit.
Every time we touch the license, we play better. Let's go, take down the trail.
An Ultiworld subscription gets you closer to the players and personalities you care about with game video, in-depth written and video analysis.
He's going to take off deep, but what he does is very simple.
Documentary shorts.
and we've played Brute Squad before, and it just feels a little bit harder to lose this year.
And a whole lot more. To get your subscription or learn more, go to ultiworld.com/subscribe.
Welcome back to the Beat Your Dreams. Let's go down to the Grit Huddle.
Nikki, how do you like your grits, with cheese or with butter? How do you like your grits, with cheese or with butter?
I just like it with, I like the secret ingredient, which is sugar.
Of course you put sugar in your grits, boy. You put it with the salt too? Salt and sugar and grits for Nikki Spiva.
You can barely get that out of
It's because he knows it's good, but like he knows it's good for so long. He's the oldest in his family, so he can like do shit like that for so long. 1, 2, 3. How do you like your grits? With butter!
Butter and sugar. Butter and sugar.
I didn't hear you, Spider.
All right, folks, so there is your grit recipe. And certainly they've cooked up a nice lead here. Naomi, how do you like your grits?
I don't know if I've ever actually eaten grits before, Keith, I have to say.
You're missing out. Do people forget that Jesse Schaffner and Nikki Spiva are from the South? So people forget that, but I guess they like their grit with a 5-point lead, as they're up 7-2 on Grace, who's looking for a comeback.
Yeah, like right before the first half, we saw a little bit of things pick up a little bit, and I think we're going to continue to see that here in the second half.
Quick score for Grace to start things off for Ella Mellick, and she's going into the hole, and she looks like she may have an easier time getting out. Schaffner exclaiming, "How can you still see her head?"
Nice work, Dina. That's Team Grit 7, Team Grace 3.
Jezierski spying Ella Mellick, drops it in, and that gets Ella Mellick to the hole. And it's the second assist for Jezierski in this one.
Yeah, really nice throw, great spacing, and really trusting Ella Mellick as well. I mean, she's a very trusted receiver, and I think putting that faith in her is going to be really useful in the second half.
Jezierski's one of the team captains, so in theory she got to pick Ella Mellick, who's been really the talk of the town this year. Schaffner, however, has never stopped being a topic of conversation, continues to make wonderful plays, and another grab for Schaffner. Nice response from Grit to push the lead back out to 5, 8-3.
Yeah, something that we've talked about Schaffner in the past is she's just so decisive as a player, and she never does anything without any indecision, and even with that grab there, just taking the disc high, keeping her feet in bounds all at the same time. Very calm, very cool, very collected. Just always an impressive player to watch.
Helton on the assist there. I think Helton has been one of the top players in this game thus far. I think her experience playing beach has been on display, and like Jezierski, a team captain.
Elsa Douglas once again with the pull for Team Grit.
So pull now fielded by Zoo. Flips it over the head of her mark to Ella Mellick. Just one cutter downfield, but that's more than enough to open up the hammer. But unfortunately for Gaskill, she gets caught underneath the disc. Can't haul that one in for the goal.
And good defensive pressure as well from Grit there to make it just a little bit more difficult for Gaskill to try and get there.
And that went a little too difficult for Book to get to. We take another look at the hammer. Gaskill able to get just a touch on it, but not the same the other direction. Mazzafari reinitiates play. Elamelic, quick trigger, backhand around, and Gaskill makes the tough catch for the score. Nice play by Stacey Gaskill, who really stood out in the mixed game and dunks it in the hole.
Yeah, and we mentioned this earlier in the game, but this Book Gaskill matchup is really exciting. Like lots of pressure from Book there. Just unable to sort of position herself in between the disc and Gaskill on the open side, but great pressure and really exciting athletic plays.
And I love the throw from Elamelic, able to get off that backhand before the mark's set. Does it without fear. I think I see a lot of younger players hesitate in that situation, and you don't see it from Elamelic. She just gets it off while she has the advantage, able to use her length, and finds Gaskill, her U24 teammate. Quick flip in the middle for Helton, who's been in that mid space all game. And there goes cross field for Douglas. Douglas finds a dancing Normile, who just manages to juke away from Cardenas for the goal.
That was a tight space to get open, but sometimes in beach, similar to playing like smaller court ultimate 4-on-4, 3-on-3 mini, it's it doesn't take much to be considered open, and when you have a pinpoint throw like Tulsa Douglas does, sometimes you just have to hit the shot.
And Cardenas just shows her back to Normile, and that was more than enough to let Normile get open. But it's so hard to change direction in this small space in the sand. I think Cardenas was kind of put in a bad spot. So a 9-4 lead now as this throw goes towards Mazafari in the end zone, but bounces off of her outstretched hand. Thompson winds up a forehand huck, but too much sauce on that one.
I love you, Anna.
Impressive closing speed by Finney there, but I think it was probably going to sail out of bounds either way.
Finney known for her power as a thrower, but she's got some wheels when you let her get downfield.
We're definitely seeing her is just such a well-rounded player in this game.
And I think that's super advantageous in this small-sided game in the sand. Being versatile is very valuable right now. Wynn gets the around throw off to Zoo. Mazafari marked by her former teammate with AMP, Carolyn Normile. Contested catch by Wynn, and she takes advantage to go to the break side for Gaskill to make it 9-5. Grace still trails.
Once again for the Team Grace score.
The score is still quite far apart, but I think we're seeing some much better ultimate now. I think that the defense is a lot tighter, and we're seeing more contested throws. I think every throw that was going up the line on that point felt, a little nerve-wracking to watch. There was good defensive pressure there, and I think that's what's made a bit of a difference in the second half.
Gaskill gets to the end zone for her second time all in this half. And then a great move downfield from Douglas, but the help defense from Zoo is just enough to keep the goal out of the hands of Grit.
Angela Zoo with the D. She will pick up as well.
Zoo starts things off for Grace now with the throw to Jezierski, who sees very little upfield, but the creative thrower blades one over for a reset. And it seems like Grace is kind of often has one player operating alone upfield. Maybe counting on that one player to win the one-on-one, and what a throw from Jezierski, and an even better catch from Angela Zoo on the other end. High release, offhand, forehand from Jezierski, and Zoo makes sure that comes down as a completion with the fantastic layout catch.
That was pretty wild. I feel like we have to call out that inside flick break reset that we saw from Jezierski moments ago, and then the offhand, like the lefty high release flick break for the goal. Like that's totally bananas. And I mean, definitely crazy catch by Zhu to keep her feet in bounds, to track it all the way into her hands. But those throws are pretty remarkable.
I have seen Sage Jezierski throw this throw once before, I believe at the college championships, maybe 2 years ago, and it was a turnover, but it looked pretty. You just do not see people with that throw.
No.
She's way ahead of the game right now. But it's nice to have a teammate who can turn what could be a turnover into a goal. Angela Zhu able to catch that one even as it trailed away from her. So Grace may be trailing on the scoreboard, but that's probably our play of the game so far.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Keith.
Thompson slings it over to the open side for Heldon. And then play for play, folks. Grit coming back with a huge play of their own. Ashley Book with the layout score, sticks the landing. Grit now up 10-6.
That was like a incredible layout, full speed in the sand, catches it on the way up. What a play by Ashley Book.
Airplane emojis. That's all I can think about right now. Just take off.
Totally.
Ashley.
That's really, really impressive, and a play that you definitely don't often see.
And that throw had pace on it. I mean, Heldon was pushing that forehand into the end zone. Not a lot of time to react for Brook, but she comes down with a tremendous catch.
Yeah, I have to say, when it came out of the hands, I thought that was a turnover. You know, in beach, the pacing is so different. But definitely, I'm going to be thinking about that grab for a while.
Now I don't even know which one I like better, so we can call it a tie. But Grace maybe running out of time in this one as they trail 10-6. And now Grit's got the disc in the hands of Tulsa Douglas. The former St. Olaf handler breaks the mark, and then Finney adds another break in and 2 throws. Both breaks. Grit scores. Makes it 11-6, and Schaffner lets her club teammate Cardenas know all about it.
So easy there. I mean, that throw is just cuts across the entire field. Finney, like, not hesitating to step around the mark. I mean, I think the size difference is pretty important to call out between Gaskell and Finney, but that step around is really nice.
Schaffner has never really let the size difference stop her before, neither has Finney. Schaffner's certainly piling up the stats, at least as tall as she is. But that's been her MO pretty much her whole career.
Enough stats to fill the hole, Keith.
and then she won't. She can just stand into like Dina.
Yeah, exactly.
She'll still be visible. So the pull from Finney with Grit holding an 11-6 lead. Cardenas starts the possession. She has such a distinct way of moving the disc around in her hands. It's such an effective way of faking, but it feels all her own. Very signature to me. Jezierski again going to another creative throw. Tries the no pivot backhand. Hits Nathan Galakovic, who's one of our lovely camera crew.
Another token Canadian that you have on deck, Keith.
Yeah, you know, it's always important to get a little Canadian representation. Should we sing "Oh Canada"? Is that?
I can do it.
Oh, Finney not able to get that huck past Zoo as she gets, I believe, her second block of this game. And then Cardenas spies Win through the traffic and punctures the defense with that backhand.
And just like you said, so nonchalant a fake, but enough to just kind of move the defenders just enough to open up that hole. Just very simple, and like you were talking about how she has a distinct way of moving, I think you could say that about a lot of the players on the field right now. Like, I think about, you know, the silhouette of how Zhu throws versus how Finney throws versus how anyone else, and I think everyone has their very own distinctive style on the field.
Pero hace 10 años solamente soñaba con hacer parte de la Selección Colombia, de poder ser importante para la Selección Colombia, de ayudar a todo lo que queremos lograr, porque últimamente me ha dado estudio, me ha logrado cosas que jamás en mi vida pensé lograr, y a veces con mi hermana nos ponemos a mirar en dónde estamos ahora y en dónde pudiéramos estar sin el Ultimate. Entonces es algo muy grande, es algo muy bonito que uno logra ver, o sea, es como...
And Manu Cardenas, who certainly has a style of her own, is really starting to develop her brand in some ways. She and her sister Valeria started to put out their own content, and I think, you know, recognizing that they have a platform and helping to spread the game. And she talked about how really the media content has helped her in her career. So a pair of turnovers, one from each side. Quickly get the disc back to Grit.
Grace unable to connect. This back over to Team Grit. Tulsa Douglas picks up.
Reset to the middle of the field. Nice inside throw from Thompson back to Douglas. And Grit moving it very effectively, but then the throw to the end zone, ineffective.
And great movement side to side, using sort of like the full east to west spacing on the field, and that high release flick from Schaffner is nice, but just a little bit too far for Douglas to run onto.
You could see how that east-west movement you were talking about really opened up the middle of the field for that cut, even though Schaffner couldn't connect. We'll see if Gaskill can connect with Elimelech. An easy one, as Elimelech tries to ensure that she was in. Camera confirms, so it's going to be 11-8.
Picture perfect grab.
Oh, I like that. I like that. You should trademark that. Certainly, Elimelech has been subject of much quality ultimate photography. Part of the, I believe, the Ultifoto's photo of the year for her layout catch against Carleton. Probably soon going to be our catch of the year at Ultiworld. I mean, it's one of the best plays I think I've ever seen.
I think just everything, you know, in isolation, the fact that it was, you know, in the game that it was at, when the score was what it was at, I think that when you add everything together, you can't deny that that was the catch of the year.
Building the legend of Dina Elimelech. She takes this point off as Grit works towards a potential victory. Back within 3, making things feel a little nervous as Book gets it up the line for a bidding on a Thompson. Secures that one with 2 hands as she hits the sand. Pushes that lead back out to 4. Adds a little cushion for Grit.
Thompson laying out into the end zone means she doesn't have to do any extra, any other juking, any other throwing. Just ends the point there and then.
So as Thompson gets the Grit goal, puts them just 1 goal away from victory, and the most decisive victory of any of the Beach of Dreams games. They've all been very close, so we'll see if Grace can keep the trend going. Zhu resets to Cardenas. Elimelech for the gainer. Things a bit stagnant, and that turns into a turnover. Now Finney picks up, looking to strike. And Anticlimactic, unfortunately for Grace, but
That's a game winner for Team
a thorough win for Grit, 13-8. And I think that point was pretty emblematic of Grit's effective ability to turn those turnovers into quick points.
Yeah, just very, very effective and able to, I think, just the one problem that Grace had there was just kind of overthrowing and not quite throwing right on point in comparison to Grit, and Grit able to just capitalize every time. I think they were able to score after every single turnover, or at least close to. So impressive discipline on the Grit side, but a good showing from Grace.
We'll be back here on the
Of course, I mean, you're talking about some of the best players in the world, and that type of team can really put you behind the 8-ball if you give them a disc. They can be very efficient, and especially on this small field, it's going to make the scores quick to come by. Very effective job by Grit in the 13-8 win over Grace. Impressive stuff from these players. They've been putting on a show. We've had some awesome plays to look back at, and it's been a lot of fun. For Naomi Redmond, this is Keith Rader signing off for Ultiworld, for USA Ultimate, and all of our crew here from the Beach of Dreams. We'll see you next time.